Brown. You're watching and listening. Back to Pot Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. We're now going to go to the Titan MR hotline, and we're going to be joined by the sack master here at the University of Florida, number 13, Alex Brown. Good morning, Alex. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. How you doing?
Doing
Thanks for having
great.
me on.
Absolutely. I know you and your family are traveling right now. First of all, you had a son that was committed to play baseball at Furman University. You were telling me they got rid of their baseball program, so you're now traveling around trying to find a place for him.
Yeah, I mean they just opened up the whole recruiting process again. So very unfortunate, and I think it put all the kids, including the ones that were on the team, in a pretty bad situation to try to figure themselves out or figure out what they want to do. So yeah, we're on the road. We got 4 schools in sight, and we're gonna go visit the campuses. And right now, the coaches can't be out there or can't be an official visit. So it's just us trying to go and get a feel for the places. So, and with the kids being out of school, there's really nothing holding us just at the house. So let's get on the road and let's go.
So what position does he play?
He plays middle infield. He's a middle infielder. 5'9", about 175 pounds, runs like the wind. He's a lot faster than I was. So, but he needs to be because he's a lot smaller than me too. So, but he got great hands. Can throw the ball across the field. I think he can make all the plays. Has all the range, and he's an unbelievable student. So that's where I think we've been talking to him about this all his life because he always wanted to play baseball, and we knew that there were no full scholarships, so you had to make sure you had your academics as well. And fortunately for us as parents, I mean, he does really well in the classroom as well.
Well, good deal. Well, let's go back to Alex Brown, the young Alex Brown, back at Hamilton County, where you played football, basketball. You won the state championship throwing the discus. But, okay, you got to set me straight here. How in the world can you play quarterback and then turn around and play linebacker and then end up being like a defensive end in college football? I had no idea you were a quarterback in high school.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I went to a smaller school, so, I mean, I could throw the ball a little bit. I went to 3 Auburn camps, and Coach Bowden over there actually wanted me to play quarterback at Auburn. He was the only school that actually offered me to play quarterback, and they had I want to make sure I get his name right. I can't remember the quarterback name that was over there at the time, but very similar to the skill set I had. Damian Craig was his name.
Damian Craig, oh yeah.
So he played. So I had a similar skill set. Could move around the pocket, could run around a little bit. So they offered me to play, and for me, I was thinking long term. I was thinking, how could I get to the NFL? And at the time, there weren't many black quarterbacks in the NFL. So, I mean, Dante Culpepper wasn't there. The only thing we really had to go on was Doug Williams. So it was different. So trying to make that decision on where I want to play, like, it had a lot to do with that. So do I feel like I could have played quarterback at the college level? I think I could have, but I thought I could make it to the NFL playing defense, and that was the end goal. So.
Did you ever try to talk to head ball coach into letting you play quarterback?
Yo, man. Shoot. There's no way. I never brought it up to Coach Spurrier. There's no way. I saw, when I got there, I saw how Doug Johnson and then Rex came along, and then some of those other guys. I saw how stressed out they were. Yeah, no, I'm good. I think I'll stay over here on the defensive side. And I got to Florida, and I mean, I'm a linebacker, and I get there, and I see a guy wearing number 42, and everybody's telling me, like, hey, that's the guy you're going to be playing behind. He's a linebacker. I'm like, good Lord, like, that's Javon Curse. I mean, if he's a linebacker, then there's no way I'm a linebacker because he moves a lot different than I do. So Coach Spurrier comes to me after Javon leaves, and they want me to play defensive end because in that last game against Florida State, my redshirt freshman year, a lot of guys got hurt on the defensive line, and Coach Spurrier comes to me mid-game, He's like, Alex, listen, wherever they make the call, go away from the call and just rush the quarterback. Whatever you do, just go away from the call and rush the quarterback. I'm like, okay, I can do that. I mean, this big fat guy can run around him. So I ended up having 2 sacks in that game, and that's Florida State. You know, that's one of the biggest games, if not the biggest game of the year during that time. So come back and during the spring, and we need a defensive end. It's myself and Derek Chambers playing, and then Thaddeus Bullard was there as well. So I'm competing with them, trying to see who's going to start at defensive end. So it was tough for me because Javon leaves. It leaves an opportunity for me to play linebacker. And I called my dad and was like, listen, they want me to move to defensive end, and I don't really want to do it. I'm in the office with Coach Spurrier at the time. And we get my dad on the phone. He's on speaker. And they asked my dad. Well, my dad says to me, when Coach Spurrier was sitting at the dining room table, what you told him was that you will do anything to help the team, right? And me, yes, sir, I did. I told him that. My dad hung up on me. It was over. Like, I looked at Coach Spurrier, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm playing defensive end. So and from that point on, I mean, it was just, let's go.
Turned out pretty well. So speaking of playing defensive end, let's go to 1999 against the Tennessee Volunteers and T. Martin at quarterback. You have 5 sacks. Talk a little bit about that night, and you just had your motor going, and they just couldn't block you.
It was a different type of night. Probably my best individual game ever playing football. But it was a big game. I guess they were on a 14 or 15 game winning streak and coming in, and I knew they hadn't beat us at the Swamp. So, and they're talking noise like they're gonna beat us. And I played in that game when they beat us, when they on their run to the national championship. I played in that game and they beat us in overtime. And I felt like we should have won that game, man. I'm a freshman. So we leave. A lot of guys leave. Javon leaves. Johnny Rutledge, Reggie McGrew, Mike Peterson. These guys leave on defense. And they're wondering, like, who's going to be the playmakers? Who's going to be able to stop this Tennessee offense that these big guys, these big-name guys that just left, they couldn't stop. And about Tuesday, it didn't take much to get on my nerves when people were talking trash. So probably about Tuesday afternoon, I just came out and just let it go. And I was like, man, we're gonna kick their butt just like we always do. And then it just kind of snowballed from there, and I just kept going. And about Thursday morning, Coach Spurrier kind of calls me in the office. He's like, listen, I don't mind you talking trash, but you better back it up. So, and that was kind of the deal. So I knew I had to go out and back it up, and Coach wasn't mad at me. He just wanted me to make sure, hey, you go back it up if you're going to talk trash. So I did my best to go out and play well, but my teammates did their job covering and giving me that extra second to get to the quarterback. So it was a team effort. I know I get a lot of the fame for that game and playing so well, but a lot of guys had a lot of hand in that.
We're speaking with Alex Brown on the Titan MR hotline. He's the all-time sack leader with 33 here at the University of Florida. Let's move forward to the 01 season. A lot of people that don't follow Gator football, or that maybe do follow Gator football, kind of don't remember that 01 team, which Coach Spurrier says might be his most talented team, and it's unfortunate the way it ended. But you were the SEC Defensive Player of the Year in 01. Just talk a little bit about that season.
Yeah, that season was it was a little different. We came out, we thought we were going to be really good. After we lost to Miami in the Sugar Bowl, there was a couple guys that had to make some decisions as to if they were gonna come back, and Gerard Warren was one. And I knew that I wanted to come back because I didn't want to leave the University of Florida losing to Miami like that. So it just kind of, I was like, all right, I'm definitely coming back. And nobody really believed me. They thought I was gone. But I really thought we would have a really good team the following year. So I was like, all right, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. So we started to look at some of the guys, and if we could get production from some of these young, talented receivers that we had, and Jabbar Gaffney and Reece Caldwell, and those guys, we could be pretty doggone good because our defense was stacked. So we were ready to go. Now it's, man, if we can stay healthy and get some production from that offense, we'll be hard to beat. And it just started to go. And that first game win, the second game, and then 9/11 happened, which is, I mean, I don't even have to say how unfortunate or how horrible 9/11 was. But that happened, and then the Tennessee game got pushed back. Years prior, the Tennessee Volunteers would talk after they lose to us. Well, if we had the game later in the season, then we'd beat you guys because we're not ready early in the season. So, like, that became a story. It became, all right, well, we'll play them later in the season. And then, so we start rolling. And we get to LSU, and Coach Spurrier had a way of amping you up or getting you ready to play. And that LSU game, when we were going to LSU, he's like, you guys think you're good. This team right here is good. And he just talked them up all week. And we went down there and absolutely blew the doors off of them. And we get on the plane, and before anybody could even sit down, he's like, they weren't that good anyway. like you just told us they were really good. Like, you've been telling us all week they're really good. And we really were. I think it was the most talented team at University of Florida that didn't win anything. And that's, I mean, it's almost like a double negative, right? If you're that good, would you win something, right?
Yeah.
But like we went to Auburn, I believe after that LSU game, and lost to Auburn in a rainy game. They kicked a field goal at the end to beat us, but we fought our way back because we were ranked number 1 coming into the season. Fell down to 2. I think Miami jumped to 1, and then we kind of fought our way back up. And then it was, okay, we got this. All we got to do is just win the rest of our games after we lost that Auburn game. So we do that, and it's like, all right, now we're good. Now we get to the Tennessee game, and we know there's only one team standing in our way of playing in a national championship, because we knew LSU was the team coming out of the West. And we just smoked them at their place. So we're not worried about them. We just need to beat Tennessee. And we are, as a defense, we just had our worst game of the season. We couldn't tackle. We weren't running to the ball. There was a lot of things, a lot of uncharacteristic things that we were doing that day that it all equated to a 2-point loss to a team that was inferior to us. I mean, they beat us. Oh man, that one still hurts. I mean, it's been a long time, and that's almost 2 decades ago, and that one still bothers me, because I truly believe we should have played the University of Miami for a national title that year, and I think we could have beat them.
I agree. Talk a little bit about being inducted into the University of Florida Hall of Fame in 2012, what that means to you.
Mm-hmm. Oh man. If you know about me, like, you know why I wore what a lot of people consider the unlucky number 13, and it was because of my cousin that passed away when I was a sophomore in high school, and he was going to Tusculum, Tennessee, small school in Tennessee. He was going to, and he got killed in a car wreck. So I wanted to honor him by wearing the number 13, and just like anything that comes with 13, that puts 13 out there so people can see it, I feel like it's for him. It's not for Alex. It's for my cousin. So, yeah, going into the University of Florida Hall of Fame, I mean, it means that, well, you're in with a lot of the great players that played at the University of Florida. You're in with a lot. There's been tons. So you feel humbled. But I know why I played the game and why I wore the number. And for me to know that he's going to be there, that number is going to be there for people to see, and hopefully people understand the story of why. I hope they ask themselves when they see it, why did he wear 13? And they do just a tad bit of research just to see why I wore the number, which can definitely help his name live longer than the 19 years he was on this earth. So it's just, that's why it means so much to me. I mean, there's one more, man. There's one more, and I don't know what I need to do to get there, but I think that I I deserve to be there, and that's in that Ring of Honor. I think if there's a defensive player there, I think I should be there. There's two there, and I absolutely love Wilbur Marshall. I think he's a fantastic player, a dominant force. And Jack Youngblood, I thought he was really good when he was at Florida. But when we talk about what somebody did at Florida, as a defensive player, I'm not sure that you can stack it up and say, well, a defensive player did more than I did there. So when I look at it, I mean, I don't really go to bat or get on and like talk about a whole lot. I mean, this is probably the third or fourth time I've talked about it since, I don't know, the 12 years I think I've been eligible to do it or whatever. But I do believe I should be there. I mean, it's just one of those things. I don't know how you kind of tread softly with it because you don't want to seem selfish, and that's definitely not the reason. I know if I saw that 13 hanging over the stadium, the good Lord could take me that next day because I would feel like I've done what I needed to do, you know. So
yeah, that would be sweet. There's no doubt about it. A couple more things for you, Alex, before we let you go.
Mm-hmm.
You were drafted by the Chicago Bears. I think you live outside of Chicago now. Talk a little bit about what it meant to you to play in Chicago. You got to experience playing in the Super Bowl with Rex. How cool was that?
Oh, it was unbelievable. I think the whole year, as far as the Super Bowl year, playing in Chicago was fantastic because I went from a school that defense had to fight for everything because you guys were so good on offense. So nobody really came to see the defense. So we had to fight like crazy to get noticed. But you go to Chicago and it's the exact opposite. Now there's something that come with that because if the defense make one mistake, you're in trouble. So, I mean, you played in Chicago, you know, you make one mistake.
We weren't really good on offense when I was there either.
So that's how it was, man. We couldn't make mistakes. You give up 2 touchdowns a game, the ball game's over. So that was a little different. But the fans came to see the defense, and it was really cool because it was different from what I grew up with at the University of Florida. So, but that year, that 06 year, everything came together. That was Rex's only year starting every game, and I was going to bat for him every year. Like, listen, guys, I mean, you just wait. When he gets out here, the kid can play, man. And he just couldn't stay healthy for whatever reason. Just he break a thumb, he'll get nicked up, hurt his knee or something. As he kept, like, and then 1 year just kind of clicked, and our defense was top. Like, we were really good on defense. The offense became explosive. They scored 27 points a game that year. So it was just – it'd be hard for somebody to convince me that we weren't the better team. We had the second-ranked offense as far as points scored per game. We had the top defense in the league. We had Devin Hester in the top special teams in the league. We had the best team. We're just not – football is it's not basketball. It's not hockey, and it's not baseball. You don't get to play a 7-game series. It's one game, one day, and the Indianapolis Colts and Peyton Manning, they beat us that day. I do believe we had the best team, though. So, but playing with my guys, I mean, there was 5 Florida Gators on that team. Tron LaFavor, Todd Johnson, Ian Scott, myself, and Rex. So that was really cool. Then watching during that season, I mean, the Florida Gators win the national championship in football. They win the national championship in basketball. The year before, they lost the national championship to Texas in baseball. Like, it was just a Florida thing, and we were just riding high. It was awesome. It was awesome, man.
So let the Gator Nation know what you're doing up in the Chicago area now.
Oh, man, I work at a logistics company called Best Dedicated Solutions, and we find solutions for different companies' freight needs. So we're kind of the middleman for different companies if you need to move freight on 53-foot trailers and stuff like that. So that's what we do. We have our own assets. If somebody needs a different solution than just picking up, calling maybe the cheapest carrier or something like that, what we can do, we can set our trailers there, I mean, on site if need be. So that's what I'm doing now. I absolutely love it. I've been doing it for going on 10 years now. So it's a lot of fun. It's never a dull moment, man. With trucking and logistics, is never a dull moment, and that's kind of how I like it. And then we have 4 kids, so my wife and I, we're always busy, you know.
Yeah. No, don't you do a little bit of radio during football season, or did you do that?
Yes. Yep. So also the NBC gig is I do a show on NBC with Lance Briggs, Matt Forte, Olin Kreutz, and we do the Bears. It's for the Bears, so that's what it is. Chicagoland. It's throughout Chicagoland. It's NBC Chicago, and we talk about any and everything the Chicago Bears. So, and I'm kind of I don't think this is going to surprise anybody, but I'm the one that's up there that's saying it how it is. And if a guy is terrible, I'm going to say he's terrible. And I'm going to say we don't need this guy because he can't help us win. So I get a lot of people on Twitter and Instagram, and they have their opinions, but if you just give it time, it doesn't take long for a real football player to notice another football player. I know you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
So,
well, you make sure you tell Olin. You make sure you tell Olin Kreutz I said hello. He was my center when I was with the Bears. He's a crazy dude.
He is crazy. He didn't change.
Aren't you a little bit into the politics out there?
Well, my wife is. My wife.
Oh, your wife doing that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My wife is on where we live. We live in Vernon Hills, and she's on the board. She ran for the county board, which she didn't win. She got in late. I don't think she had a good year of prep for it. So, but I mean, it's a 4-year term, so it's something that if she wanted to do again, I mean, we'd have to look at it maybe in the next year or two. But we're trying to move, so we're gonna move down closer to back home. Home being back closer to Gainesville, so I can get down there more, man. I want to see games. I want to get to campus. I want to see coach. I want to see the coaches. I want to see the players. Like that's me. I mean, I've been in this cold long enough, man. I need to get back down where some heat at.
Yeah, you got to get out. Last thing before we let you go, I ask all the former players this. You got one good Coach Spurrier story for us?
Oh, man.
One that you can tell on the air?
You know what? I got one, and it's not really a Coach Spurrier story. It was a shocker to me. So it's Coach Spurrier and Coach and Shoot. So Bob Stoops. So we lose to Georgia, okay? We lose to Georgia in '97, and I'm a freshman, so Coach Spurrier's gold. Don't nobody. If Coach Spurrier say do it, you do it. That's it. And we lose to Georgia, and we're in there like normal watching the film, and Coach Spurrier walks in, and he's upset, and you can see it. You knew it. I mean, we lost to Georgia, so hell yeah, he's gonna be upset. But he walked in and he asked Coach Stoops for the remote, and Coach Stoops said no, and there was this huge gasp in the room. It's like what? You said no, and Coach Spurrier's like, "Hey Bob, let me see you outside." So they get up and they walk outside, and we're listening. So there's not a peep going on because we want to hear if we can. So it was just, you brought me here to coach the defense. That's what I'm gonna do, and blah blah blah. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe he just stood up to Coach Spurrier. Now fast forward a year, he was gone and he was at Oklahoma. But I mean, but I mean that was that's probably the best story that I have because I mean, you know, I play defense. So Coach Brady, they were on another field when we played. They were on another field. We were on one field. They were on another one. And y'all kind of did your own thing until we got together. And his whole thing was just to beat us. So, and if he beat us, then if we didn't beat him, practice just kept going. So Coach Brady was going to make sure they left that field with a good taste in their mouth. That's for sure.
That is true. Well, Alex, we appreciate you joining the show. Hope your son finds a good place for him to play baseball. Y'all stay safe and get on down here and get you and your family to a game, my man.
Absolutely. Thanks, Shane. Go Gators, man.
All right, that's Alex Brown, number 13, Hall of Famer, sack leader here at the University of Florida. Celebration Point is where the Gators come to celebrate with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Tommy Hilfiger, Hotel Indigo, Nike, Medici's, Riga Cinemas, and coming soon, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and Visor's Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point where the Gators come to celebrate. We want to thank Brent Beaird and Alex Brown for joining the program. On tomorrow's program, we'll be joined by Alan Williams, a former Gator punter who was drafted by the New York Jets, also does some sports commentating, sports reporting up in Knoxville, Tennessee. We'll talk a little volunteer football. And also our man Jackie Spreads, brought to you by Peachland Dentistry, will have former Gator assistant to Billy Donovan, Donnie Jones, join the program. This Day in Sports is brought to you by The Best Restoration. Do you have COVID-19 concerns? Do what everyone is doing and hire The Best Restoration to fully sanitize and sterilize your home or office. Visit their offices this week for a free bottle of hand sanitizer when you mention the code Shane. Call 352-234-8994. And This Day in Sports, let me pull it up. In 1968, speaking of Alex Brown and the Chicago Bears, George Halas retires from coaching, finishing with 318 regular season wins and 6 NFL titles. That's going to be a wrap for today's show. Hope you enjoyed it. I really want to thank Brent Beaird and Alex Brown for joining the program. Be safe out there, folks. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care.
Time out! Time out! Hey! Time out! Time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, small enough to serve you, large enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Area Rug Masters, your #1 choice for rug cleaning. And Pound Hurt, preferred personal injury attorneys.
Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, The Keys Grill and Piano Bar, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Cloud9 Spa, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Center State Bank, Gator Bait Media, and Davis Chevrolet.
If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the advertise button or call Freddie Wiebe at 352-284-3733.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
He's looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown!
Good morning and welcome to a Wednesday edition of Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Got a great show. Glad you're along for the ride. We got Brent Beaird from First Coast News over in Jackson College Sports today. Also a Heisman Trophy winner. I mean, not a winner. He's a voter. He wishes he would have won. And then we're going to be joined by former Gator great Alex Brown. But let's go straight to the Titan MR hotline to the Heisman Trophy winner, Brent Beaird. How are you?
Shane, great to be with you, and it's great to be looking forward, we hope. And since the last time we talked, we've made, frankly, significant progress about getting the players on the field.
Yeah, you know, I'm getting excited. You know, my son got all the emails from UF. He went for his COVID test yesterday, and, you know, they're going to start group workouts, 10 to 12 athletes at a time, I believe June 8th. We're still a long ways away, but it's exciting getting the kids back on campus.
Well, it is, and particularly probably 3 months ago, and even 3 weeks ago, we were talking about very much not being able to have a season, or maybe starting the season in the spring, but that has changed, that we're looking at starting the season on time possibly, and hopefully at this point, now that everybody is on their way to come back in the SEC by June the 8th, There will be a lot of, obviously, much needed conditioning. I think somewhere in there, Shane, there's going to be, for lack of a better word, mini camp, OTAs, or whatever word you want to use to kind of get everybody together. But look, to me, because of the nutrition, because of the safety, because of the strength and conditioning, and having a place to stay that is consistent. Shane, I think it's safer for these kids to be on campus right now just about than it is in some of their homes.
Yeah, I agree. So as today, I think Wednesday, June 26th or what have you, 27th. Is it 26 or 20? I lost track of my days.
27, yeah.
27. Do you think, how do you feel right now? Do you think the season could possibly start on time?
Yeah, it's looking that way, and you're certainly hearing that from athletic directors and even presidents at this point. Certainly no guarantees about that, but and I think a lot of that will be determined by the testing, how available it is, because we know there are going to be some hiccups. There will be some players who would get the virus. Can you isolate them, keep them away from the rest of the team, and then be back in a short time period? So I think we're even kind of looking at, as you know, there's a week 0. Notre Dame plays Navy in Ireland, and I know the Notre Dame folks are excited about that. They're very much talking about going to that direction. So the conversation right now is we want to try to do everything we can to be able to start on time and have a full season.
We're speaking with Brent Beaird on the Titan MRI hotline from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. You can follow him on Twitter at Brent Beaird. Brent, there have been some schools that have cut sports. You know, I know Florida Tech got rid of their football program. Furman got rid of their baseball program. Cincinnati was soccer. But there's some talk about the University of Connecticut getting rid of a bunch of sports. What are you hearing there?
Yeah, there have been several reports out this week about multiple sports, not just one or two, but even more than that. Now, obviously, women's basketball is their best sport, and football has struggled, to say the least. So I could see very possibly them cutting football at this point, too. So you've still got I think a lot of your, shall we say, beyond the big three, even though baseball is being cut some at this point, and UConn's one of those too. And some of that, though, Shane, is in a lot of the op-ed articles about the UConn situation, a lot of fingers are pointed toward athletic director David Benedict, what he should have done or shouldn't have done during that time. But probably the one that we mention this because UConn football would be the first school that we would see to very likely cut football or very possibly be able to do that. But there were a lot of folks who thought that UConn should have went down another division and played somewhere in lower division football. They did not, and unfortunately that may ultimately cost them.
Well, when you look at the major Power 5 conferences in college football, we know with the SEC, they're wanting their kids back on campus, I think, June 8th. Talk a little bit about what's going on with the Pac-12, the Big 12, and I know there's some issues with like the University of Michigan and the Big 10. Let us know what you're hearing out there.
Yeah, it kind of just depends on the date. At this point, Larry Scott has told reporters that training camp could begin in late July. Obviously, that they would have people on board as far as conditioning way before then. At that point, the Big 12, the possibility in beginning on June the 15th during that time. Now, the Big 10 has been pretty careful in coming out and not saying anything about when that's going to be, but probably they're looking at maybe that June 8th, June 15th date around that time too. Now the Michigan president was basically running off of the mouth over the last few days, told the Wall Street Journal that Michigan won't have a football season unless all the students are back on campus for classes. Look, this is similar rhetoric that you were hearing from some of the presidents and the governors and the Pac-12 states, but the reality for this too is some of the folks, I think particularly from the television end, have begun to whisper in some of these ADs and presidents' ear how badly they need football and how badly they need that television money. So at this point, I would kind of take that as a grain of salt from the Michigan president. What is definitive in the Big Ten, Shane, is that they are not going to have their media days as they normally would. They've got a couple of days in July 22nd through 23rd that they are either going to do something virtual, online, or they may do it at another date. So right now, what you've got is the SEC and the ACC are really the only two conferences that have not made any kind of a public announcement about the having media days. And look, I love media days. I missed only one since the early 90s. So it's always great to hear the coaches, players, and see media friends. But the reality of it is what you've seen with these conferences, I think at some point, Shane, the SEC will make the same announcement. It's going to be in Atlanta this year, associated with the College Football Hall of Fame. And if you've got the other conferences around them that are just going to a virtual situation, I think in the long run, that's what the SEC will end up doing too.
Brent, last time we talked to you, I think the NCAA was going to vote on the transfer rules. Where do we stand? Did they vote on it? What's going on there?
Well, at this point, they did, and they basically just said, "Well, we're not ready to do this right now." I think a lot of people thought that it would, but what's happened with that is it became just so cumbersome for them. They've got a lot to deal with as it is. Now, look, I think eventually this will get passed, but it'll probably be 2021. But right now, they've just decided basically they don't want to do it now. But I think in the next few months that it will come up again, and that the players will be granted basically your free one-time waiver, if you were to put it that way, with this. So no go for now, but I think it will be probably sooner than later.
Before we get into some teams and what's going on around the teams, last thing on this COVID-19. Brent, if we play football, which I think they're going to play college football, and I think it's going to be sooner than most people think.
Right.
What are you hearing from a standpoint of allowing fans in the stadium?
Well, that's going to be the next great debate. Iowa State came out on Tuesday, and they said that they have got a plan to basically limit their stadium to 30,000 fans. Now, how are they going to determine how you get 30,000 people? And Shane, I think that's the big thing here with a lot of these stadiums in a lot of these athletic departments is going to be, okay, if we're going to limit this, who gets to go? So that's what's being decided now. No one's going to be totally happy with this, being any stretch in the imagination. But right now, the only real plan that's come out that's in any kind of detail is more with Iowa State, nothing with the SEC. Now, it was interesting, Greg McGarity, the AD at Georgia, on Tuesday also said that their goal is to not only have games, but have games in front of a full stadium. So, again, trying to do that, I think at this point would be difficult. What may end up happening is they signing anybody at first. Then in October, adding some fans, and then adding even more in November. Again, no one knows at this point. But so really, all we've got going on right now would be the Iowa State plan and Greg McGarity, among others, saying that's their goal, is to have a full house.
Yeah. Speaking with Brent Beaird on the Titan MR Hotline, Brent, there's a handful of quarterbacks that have a lot of playing experience that have now transferred. When you look at the ones that have transferred to different schools, obviously they haven't been able to participate in spring ball or any of that stuff. Which guys do you like best?
I'll tell you what's it's a real surprise is Jake Bentley, who was at South Carolina, and to put it mildly, had an inconsistent career, may be the starter at Utah. Now, the reason that's significant is, Shane, as you remember, Utah last year, going into the final couple of weeks of the season, was thought to be a real contender for the fourth spot in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, that didn't happen, but that's one name that kind of surprised me a little bit with where that's going. Now, Keontae Thompson going from Mississippi State to Virginia, that's going to be interesting to see where that goes at this point. Chase Bryce is another guy to watch. He went to Duke, but your guy that's had probably the most success has been, or who might have the most success, is KJ Costello at Stanford, who transferred to Mississippi State with Mike Leach. So you've also got him. You've also got Derek King going from Houston to Miami, who needs all kinds of help at quarterback. And again, obviously, you've got Jamie Newman from Wake Forest coming over from Georgia. Now, people have done a kind of a deep dive on Jamie's stats against some of the better teams, and they're not that good. So that will be interesting to see how he does. You've got Todd Monken, the new offense coordinator at Georgia, rebuilt offensive line, receivers continually improving with that group. But that's a great question. The guy that ends up the best among that group is going to have a lot to say about where his team goes and have a very possible challenging for their division in their conference.
No doubt about it. Well, let's talk a little bit about the SEC with players coming back to campus June 8th. What's going on with your school up there in Tuscaloosa?
I think at this point for Alabama, one of the latest things was they have scheduled a home and home with Arizona. And look, this is way in advance, 32 and 33, and it's going to be a while. But again, I think what's important with this, and Shane, I like this, we're seeing less neutral site games and more home and home. And look, I think that's a good trend for the fans, don't you, Shane? Fans want this. They're buying these tickets. It's costing them a lot of money. And if we do, we want to see some good games, or at least some better games, right? Yeah,
that's very true. And then on the Plains, Cam Newton's little brother transfers to Auburn.
And that's very interesting. Kaylin, Caylin, has transferred as a graduate. I think a lot of people have not paid a whole lot of attention to what he can do. I've seen a little bit of video on him at this point. And again, he was at Howard, redshirt junior, so we'll see at this point where that goes. Wide receiver quarterback Ja'Shawn Sheffield indefinitely suspended, also at Auburn. But yeah, so a lot of folks were very intrigued when they saw Cam's brother that's going to be coming to the Plains.
Well, the Gators got another quarterback commit. One of my former teammates with the Cincinnati Bengals son is going to be supposedly will be a Gator. Still a long time away, but he could change his mind. Talk a little bit about the Kitna kid.
Jalen Kitna lit up Twitter this afternoon, did he, or yesterday afternoon, Shane, about his coming over 6'4", 195, former Boston College commit. He is the 17th ranked pro-style quarterback. And again, he'll have, if he comes over, he'll obviously have some seasoning to do and be able to get adjusted to playing the SEC. But I think the goal is that you want a certain amount of quarterbacks with every class, and that's very normal. And certainly, he has got the pedigree and the bloodlines at that point. So I think that's a plus. And I think yesterday that excited a lot of Gator fans.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Mississippi State has had a couple of guys enter the transfer portal. And I want to say one of them is transferring to Ole Miss. That's a very strange transfer to me to go to your arch rival.
It really is. There's no question about that. Now, defensive back Jarian Jones, he's 6'1", 180, played a little bit as a freshman during that time. Now, the guy you're talking about, Fabian Lovett, is transferring to Ole Miss. Which is a rather unusual situation. But, again, I mean, you've got a lot that it goes on between those two teams. And we mentioned KJ Costello a minute ago, and I say they're very excited about the possibility of what he could do, had some success. A couple years ago at Stanford, was injured last year, but he's coming in, so that should be exciting. But, and again, I think Mike Leach will be okay with this situation, but he's had some players, a handful of players leave, and as you know, Shane, when coaches first come in, you have some roster adjustment, and I think that is basically what is going on here. And by the way, we mentioned Ole Miss. What I wanted to also say, and it was announced on Tuesday, that they've got a 28-29 series home and home with South Alabama. And again, remember, just a few days ago, they had that series that was announced with Southern Cal. Some people affectionately calling it the Lane Kiffin Bowl, since Kiffin coached at USC. And again, Ole Miss starts the season with Baylor. That game, we understand now, is going to be moved to Sunday night on Labor Day weekend. Dave Aranda and also Lane Kiffin. I tell you, Shane, when you think about that, Sunday night of Labor Day on that weekend, there'll be a lot of people watching that game, will it not?
Yeah, no doubt about it. So what's going on? Anything new with our all-season national champs up in Knoxville?
They did have a recent commitment, tight end Trinity Bell. He's a tight end, 6'7", 260. They also got another commitment from an athlete, Kameen Marley, who is 6'2", 205. I think, again, and I heard from a Tennessee beat writer yesterday about this, who made a really good point. Tennessee, believe it or not, has got already, and this is May, like 25 verbal commitments. I mean, that's more than 3 or 4 SEC schools combined. But here's the thing with this, though, Shane, your reality is there's a lot of kids who've committed. They've not even been to Tennessee yet. Right. And I think when they're able to visit during the season, I think a lot of these guys, or at least some of them, are probably going to change their mind, and they won't be stuck with Tennessee after that. And people need to remember, Tennessee still is a couple of years away from really competing with Georgia and Florida. And listen, to give you an indication of how many kids have committed, Shane, this is unbelievable. On May 18th of last year, there were 341 verbal commitments. This year, there's 770.
Wow. I guess with the quarantine, guys just want to commit.
They do, and the coaches have pushed them hard. I think to be able to do that and told them that they need to do it before these scholarships are gone. But again, that's why I believe, Shane, in a few months that a lot of this stuff will level out, and you'll see probably a whole lot of commitments toward the end of the year.
Last thing for you, Brent, anything new coming out of Tallahassee or down there with the Miami Hurricanes?
I think as far as Florida State, I think there's some growing optimism that with Mike Norvell that they are going to be better. Look, I saw a prediction the other day of Florida State winning 10 games. Now, I don't think they're ready to do that at this point. But I think they'll be, if they can get that offensive line better, they'll be much improved. Now, Florida State had a transferring redshirt junior, Jawan Williams. He was a big tackle that was arrested on Wednesday, charged with misdemeanor battery. So he's 6'7", 310. Not really sure where he's going to end up at this point either, but so certainly keep your eye on him. We mentioned Derek King a few minutes ago with Miami. There's still a lot of people think he could solve their question marks at quarterback. That remains to be seen too. It's going to be a real important season coming up for Manny Diaz. Rhett Lashley is there, used to be on the Auburn staff. So I needless to say, big years coming up in the ACC for both Miami and Florida State.
No doubt. Well, Brent, we appreciate you taking time on this Wednesday morning, joining the program. Be safe out there, and we'll talk to you soon, bud.
Look forward to it, Shane. Thanks so much.
That's Brent Beaird joining us on the Titan MR hotline. At Center State Bank, we put business first. We are the largest community bank in the state of Florida. Center State has 5 convenient Alachua County locations to serve you better. Come in and experience the Center State difference. To learn more, visit centerstatebank.com. Center State Bank, member FDIC. When we come back, we're going to be joined by the all-time leading sacker here at the University of Florida, Mr. Alex Brown. You're watching and listening to Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
Timeout! Hey, timeout! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, small enough to serve you, large enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Area Rug Masters, your #1 choice for rug cleaning. And Pound Hurt, preferred personal injury attorneys.
Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, The Keys Grill and Piano Bar, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Cloud9 Spa, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Center State Bank, Gator Bait Media, and Davis Chevrolet.
If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the Advertise button or call Freddie Wiebe at 352-284-3733.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
He's looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown.